'Tis the season, which means that the Red Gobbo is here. Games Workshop is previewing the movement rules for Warhammer Old World, and we have an update from Owlcat about Rogue Trader. All this and more in this week's Hobby News. My name is Angela, and welcome to Hobby Night. Games Workshop just announced the Warhammer World Cup, which is an international event that is going to be taking place starting on November 16th and going until November 19th. And it is going to have participants from over 40 different countries in it. And you can see the list of various countries that are participating right here on screen. And I think this is actually a really cool event, although I do feel like it kind of came out of nowhere a little bit and they didn't really talk about it too much leading up to it, but it is happening very, very soon in Atlanta, Georgia, and there's people from all these different nations coming in to represent the world and play 4 different Warhammer games. I almost said Warhammer 40k games, but there's only 2 of them that are actually focused on Warhammer 40k because the other 2 are focused on Age of Sigmar. They are, of course, Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar respectively, and then we've got Kill Team and then Underworld. So there's going to be a variety of different tournaments happening, and the championship is broken down in pretty understandable ways, honestly. You can see the points breakdown here, and you can even see the player's journey here, which I think is just kind of a neat little breakdown of them telling us exactly what these players are going to be going through in their time in Atlanta participating in this World Cup event, which should be inaugural. They're supposed to be doing many of these once a year, supposedly, and I think that's a really neat idea, and I'm curious to see, like, how many of you out there would be willing to travel around to be able to do this event. Because I know, like, for me, traveling in an airport or something like that with my army would be very nerve-wracking, but I know people do it all the time. So, like, would you do this? Would you fly around to be able to participate, or would you be like me and just want to stay at home and watch it on maybe their Twitch channel, because that's the way you'll be able to watch it? But here's the breakdown. I just wanted to show that off a little bit. One of the things that I really like about this is players do get to play on all 4 days, even if they aren't necessarily in the main bracket that ends up going into the championship bracket and, you know, plays for being able to win the best general award. Because as you can see, we have our eligibility for awards, and the world bracket doesn't get that opportunity, but the person who wins the championship bracket will be crowned best general, which I just think is kind of a neat little thing, a little bragging rights that the player gets to take advantage of. This is, I think, GW really trying to dive into the esports world a little bit more without their event actually being an esport specifically, because obviously we're playing a tabletop game, but they're still broadcasting it on their Twitch channel, which is where you want to go if you want to be able to watch it, and I might check that out a little bit. I don't think I'll be doing any sort of watch along live streams with this, but I might check in and just see exactly how they're presenting it, what they're talking about, and of course if they end up doing any like miniature reveals, I'll definitely check in to see those. But let me know, are you excited about this World Championship Cup happening? Are you going to be watching it? Do you know anybody that's participating? I personally, unless there's just somebody who hasn't told me, I don't know anybody that's going to be going to this, but I'd love to know if you guys have any friends that are going to be at this event and what they are excited about most for it. Moving right along, the Red Gobbo has come. It's that season, and he has arrived back at our chimneys. And I'm actually very excited for this year's sculpt. Let's take a look. Also, I want that. Like that little structure that we just saw in the background, I want that too. I don't know if they're gonna be selling that or if that's just something they've put together for this little ad, but good lord, it's beautiful. Look at the Red Gobbo this year, however. He's on an actual, like, chimney stack. I love his bag. It's full of little goodies, and we're going to talk about some of those details here in just a moment because I just think it's absolutely delightful. Now, here is the Red Gobbo in detail, as you can see, and I love this design. I've loved a lot of the Red Gobbo designs over the various years, and I really, really enjoy that Games Workshop takes the time to do these seasonal, like, little one-off miniatures. I just think it's delightful, and frankly, I want Games Workshop to do a Halloween-themed one. I know Halloween is not, like, massive in the UK or anything like that, but imagine what their sculptors could do with like a Halloween themed like trick or treat little miniature or something like that. I don't know, grab a Nurgling, dress it up. I don't care what you do, just find something to do that's spoopy and seasonally appropriate for Halloween. I'd absolutely love it, Games Workshop. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. We need to talk about this red Gobbo because you might notice some of the details in this bag. Because while he is delightful on that chimney stack, and I absolutely love the way that they've painted it, the thing that I absolutely love the most about this model is specifically, like, I don't know, hold on, can I point at it? Oh, there we go. You see this panel right here? Okay, look at the paintbrush, the little die, and the Citadel paint pot. There's two of them actually. There's one in the bag still, and then there's one outside of the bag. And I just absolutely think that is delightful. Like I love when art stuff makes it into art sculptures. That's one of my favorite things. And I think this is so gosh darn cute. I really want to imagine that this is like Luis's like influence left over at Games Workshop being in there, because I just feel like a lot of the miniatures she's come up with since leaving Games Workshop has had some little details like that with like artists doing things and little Gobbo artists doing things. So it makes me really happy. I'm absolutely loving this model, but this isn't the only thing I actually want to talk about. No. Because you see, we also have all of the holiday sets revealed and currently up for pre-order on Games Workshop's really bad new website. Just don't even get me started on that. I don't like the new website. But I do like what we're seeing for the Christmas sets. Because as you can see, we have a nice, beautiful World Eater set. I am definitely going to be picking up this Tyrannid Onslaught Swarm words. Words are hard. I'm so excited about it. Look at this Tyrannid set, okay? Just look at it. It's beautiful. I don't have any of these models. I have some, I lied. I lied mildly. I do have some Gene Stealers already, but I want this Tyrannid holiday set because I don't have any of the big boys yet. I have no big Tyrannids, and this looks like a really great way to get two of them. I do want some of the new Gene Stealer sculpts because most of the ones that I have are a lot of the older ones, and then I want the melee gaunts. Like don't get me wrong, I love my painted shooty boys, but I would prefer to have the melee guys. So this is gonna be perfect for me. I think it's gonna really round out my brand new Tyrannid army. Of course, we have a Primaris set, which does look really cool. I do like seeing the bikes in there. We have a beautiful Beastnaga set, which just looks fantastic. I honestly, if I didn't already have a lot of these models, especially like the big boy here, and actually this entire squad back here, I would actually probably be inclined to pick one of these up because I do not have this monstrosity and I want it, but I can just buy it separately because I have literally everything else in the set already. We also have a cool Votann set, which I think people might be really excited for. I do like the vehicles we see from Votann. The Imperial Guard set, you can't go wrong with Cadia stands, and they look beautiful. Just look at them. They are majestic. And then of course we have some more Age of Sigmar ones, which are also looking good. Soulblight Gravelords, which the vampires do look stunning and I really like them. We also have what looks like a Chaos set, which I'm not super familiar with, but it looks like it might be tied to Archaon. Maybe. I don't really know. But I'm probably wrong on that. I'm sorry. I don't know Age of Sigmar's armies quite as well. Then we have a Lizardmen, or the Seraphim set, which again, I would totally get this just because lizards are really fun to paint, especially using like speed paint from the Army Painter or contrast paints from Citadel, because their scales just work so well with those colors. And then you can do some beautiful dry brushing very easily, very lightly to bring out some additional highlights. Oh, they're so good. I love Lizardmen for that reason. And then we have some Osiarch Bone Reapers, which again, just are really, really cool. If you want to paint some big, chunky, bony boys, great set to pick up for getting started with your army. Really, you can't go wrong often when it comes to these holiday sets that Games Workshop comes out with, especially if you're wanting to try out a new army or you're trying to fill out an army you just started, because these tend to be really good points values to cost values. So I'd highly encourage you to check your local stores, see what they might have available this season, and grab one that's appropriate to the army you're wanting to start. Hey guys, I just wanted to jump into the video to remind you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, especially if you're enjoying the content that you find here. And if you're into the spicier side of the hobby, well, my Only Fanatics VIP page is currently 50% off through the end of the month for new subscribers. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, use the link in the video description below, and I hope to see you there. Now let's go ahead and get back to the video. If you have been missing the old world, well, don't worry, I have been too. I never even got to play in the original old world, but I'm very excited to see what we're getting rules-wise when it comes to the new old world, because Games Workshop was kind enough to start previewing the movement phase for the upcoming Warhammer Old World re-release. And formations are back. Everybody that was wanting square bases and formations and that style of movement, well, your wishes have been answered because Games Workshop is providing that for us. Now, as you can see, we have a couple different formations that we're looking at here. Closed order, open order, skirmish, and lance. Skirmish and lance seem to make a lot of sense. I think just off the bat, lance can only be done by knights or other various models that are appropriate to it. Skirmish are, of course, units that can be non-base to base. And then the closed and open order seem to be very similar to each other. And honestly, at first I was like, well, what's the actual difference? Why are you calling them out as, dramatically different forms? And the main thing that seems to be different from them, because as you can tell from the picture on screen here, the units need to be in base-to-base contact. They all need to be facing the same direction. That is, in fact, true for both. But when it comes to the open order, those units are going to be a bit more agile. They're going to have a bit more speed and then a little bit more maneuverability. So my guess is only elite units might have the option to go into the open order formation, as opposed to maybe your peasant options, or just your, I guess not everybody's gonna have peasants. Sorry, the Bretonian in me is already coming out. But in your just, what is the word if they're not peasants? Your just basic troops, that's the word I'm looking for. Your basic troops might end up being in closed order formations, whereas your elite troops that maybe aren't, knights or something similar are going to be in open order formations, which all seems very, very good. You, of course, have combat orders as well, which is where they are basically wider than they are deep, and then marching columns, which are when they are deeper than they are wide. And that's just to help get through movement and being able to change your formations to maneuver around the board a little bit more easily, which I think all makes a huge amount of sense. Now let's actually talk about the movement phase itself, because it is going to take 4 different parts to get through your movement phase. The first part is pretty straightforward. You're going to be declaring your charges. If you're the active player, you declare your charges, and then the inactive player, all within the same little step, is going to declare their charge reactions. Now, there's a variety of these that you can end up taking advantage of, like hold, stand and shoot, flee, countercharge. They all seem to make a lot of sense. Hold is, you're standing your ground, you're going to sort of brace for impact. Stand and shoot sounds like it's essentially going to be an overwatch. Fleeing sounds like you're going to be running away and pivoting to try to escape, which I don't know if that's really something you're going to want to do, because normally, at least from my understanding in the old game, you didn't really want your butt ever facing the enemy because they got bonuses when they were getting in behind you. So that seems like not necessarily the best idea, but maybe getting it in the side is not as bad as getting it in the front or something. I don't really know. I haven't played the game yet. Then, once your opponent has declared their counter to your charge and everything, you can move on to the next step, which is going to be the active player actually making that charge move. So cool, they've made their charge move. Then we're going to have the compulsory movement phase. Now this is designed to primarily take care of things like units that were fleeing and didn't succeed in their basically leadership role in your previous phase. But there are some units that are taking advantage of things in this particular portion of the movement phase, such as the Night Goblins, I believe, and a couple other units that might have some special movement where they move sort of compulsorily. Then, finally, you do the rest of your normal movement that doesn't involve any combat resulting from it. So it's pretty straightforward, but there are a lot, and you might notice all of the various bold words here in the text as we've been scrolling past. There's a lot of keywords that they're throwing out at us in this particular article. And while everything does make sense, if you're interested in playing this game, I would highly encourage you to go and read through this article yourself so that you get it in more detail and can start figuring out what all those keywords are, and just make it a little bit easier for yourself once the game is actually out. But honestly, I'm excited to see this. We've seen more miniatures recently. I'm really hoping we get to see some more Tomb Kings very, very soon. And we're starting to see more and more rules come out for the game, which means that we must be getting closer and closer to the actual release for it. So I'm hoping in early 2024 is when we're going to start seeing the old world come back onto our shelves. But let me know what your thoughts are down below. Owlcat has another trailer out teasing us about the consequences in their upcoming release, Rogue Trader. Let's take a look.
Today, we wish to demonstrate how every choice you make affects the game's story. While exploring, you will be met with a great number of hard decisions. Do you try to save the population of a dying world, or burn it all with the intent of containing heresy? Will you
obviously we must all contain heresy.
Humankind for forbidden power? And what are your
I wonder how many people are
priorities?
actually not going to try to contain heresy and actually
resources,
go into heresy.
or servitude to the Emperor? All these decisions will affect the whole subsector, attracting the uncomfortable attention of Inquisitor Calcazar, who is currently overseeing the Coronis Expanse.
Okay.
Depending on your previous actions and answers during the interrogation, the outcomes of this conversation will change dramatically. Your responses may even set you on a specific path, unlocking a unique game ending. It's not only Calcazar who is tracking your every step. The Coronis Expanse is rich with enemies, allies, and everything in between. So think carefully about your choices, and be prepared to face their consequences.
Man, okay, I am so ready for this game to be out. Now, there was something that I noticed was kind of interesting, and I'm seeing if I can scan to where it is. Was it in this section? So I'm very curious about this dial that we keep seeing, because I feel like it moves. I think it's right around here where we were talking about the Inquisitor. Okay, so this Inquisitor guy is going to end up talking to us all as we play this game and interrogating us. Very, very Inquisitor-like. Definitely makes sense. But I'm looking at this dial, okay? I'm looking at the dial. Where is the dial? There we go. Okay. I'm looking at this dial. And 2 of the 3 portions on this dial, to me, read as pro-Imperium. The yellow one with the hands, like, grasping at something what looks like holy, I'd assume that's leaning towards God Emperordom and you're being just very religious. And then the blue dial, which just seems to be pro-Imperium, I'm for the Emperor, we're doing this for the good of humanity. And then we've got the red area, which seems to be, you know, our chaos area. And I definitely saw some sections in the video where the dial was overlapping between the 2. Where, you know, there was something that started in the blue and then kind of went into the red. And I'm curious, like, how late into the game can you make a choice that will take you into a different dial? And also, if 2 of these are pro-Imperium, what the hell does the, like, Inquisitor have a problem with us then? Like, what's his goddamn problem? If, like, I get it, if our ship looked like this and was all blood-soaked and everything and looked like we were just worshipping, my gosh, I can't even say the word, chaos, sure, fine, be upset with us, get mad. But, like, if we had any of these other positions, what is this man upset for us about if we're doing the duty of the Emperor and, like, doing what's best for humanity? I don't understand. I want to learn more. I don't actually know if this trailer actually answered any of the questions I have about that dial mechanic. Like, I don't is it a visual representation? Do I get to choose things on it? I have so many questions. I really want this game to be out. Cannot wait for its release. Last but not least this week, I want to talk about another video game that's making its way to tabletop and being turned into not only a board game, but also an RPG system. And if you haven't guessed already that it's Diablo, well, it's Diablo. It's Blizzard's Diablo, and I'm kind of surprised by this, but also not surprised by this. Because of all of Blizzard's titles, honestly, this is the one that I feel like is going to transition into board game and RPG form the easiest, which I find funny because they have WoW, which is literally an RPG already, kind of, because it's an MMO, and I feel like that's very equivalent. But no, I actually think this is a perfect game to be turned into a tabletop game as well as an RPG system. Now, we don't know a whole lot about the game itself right now. Glass Cannon Unplugged, which is the publisher that's going to be working on it, who you may know from publishing the Frostpunk board game, which does have pretty high reviews on Board Game Geek. And they also recently, although I don't think it's actually hit stores or people's tables yet, the Apex Legends game as well. So they're making this game. I think they have pretty high expectations, but also a pretty high reputation. So I expect good things from this. Now, there is going to be a little bit of a morality system, it seems, in the RPG and board game, which is not unusual. So I'm curious to see what they're going to be doing from that. And they're having rumors that they're making a system that is brand new, nothing that is something that you've seen in other RPG systems. So I'm going to be curious what exactly that system's going to look like, how fun it may or may not be, and what exactly that just means to them. But overall, I'm pretty interested in this. I saw the miniatures for Frostpunk. They were quite detailed and very elaborate, and let's face it, Blizzard has some beautiful, beautiful artwork, and of all of the game systems that Blizzard makes, Diablo is aesthetically my favorite. It's dark, it's gothic, and it's a little bit depressing and emo sometimes, and I really, really dig that. And so I'm excited to see what we're going to get potentially miniature-wise out of the Diablo board game, which is probably going to be the main reason I may want to get my hands on it. But I'm going to be keeping an eye on this one. We know it's coming out in 2024 at some point, but I expect it probably won't be until late 2024 that we see anything about it. So I'll be keeping my eyes peeled, and I'll give you more information as I find it. All right, that has been it for this week in hobby news. Now, before I head out, I do want to let you know that we've turned on YouTube memberships. So if you've ever wanted to support Hobby Night and support me, helping keep this channel going, that is another way that you can do so. There's a couple little perks that you get for being a member, so take advantage and take a look and see if you'd like to join. Now, the last thing I'd like to do is thank my patrons for making it so content like this can continue to happen. Without your guys' support, we would not be doing this, so thank you very, very much. Soon I'll have YouTube membership as a thank you in there as well. And to everybody who has been supporting me throughout the years, thank you so much. We really would not be doing this without you guys. It really does mean a lot to me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your hobby night. Have a good rest of your day, everybody. Bye.